Hey, it's Dr. Savage. It's a great Tuesday. A great Tuesday it is. This is Dr. Eveangel Savage over at Audacity Group Social Enterprise, and I am your angel investment coach and social enterprise strategist. I'm here today to talk about starting up, and when you start up with the end in mind. So we're going to be talking about a little bit of investment readiness. I think that's critical because we start up. A lot of us start up and we start up again. And so, but the important thing is to start up with the end in mind. Hello, Devin. Thank you for joining. Please swipe and invite. We appreciate you for any hearts that you want to lend me today. But we're talking about investment readiness and some things that you should do to get prepared. Begin your startup with the end in mind. What does that mean? The big picture. And our dreams are bigger than us. So why not begin with the end in mind? So here we go. Keep your pitch simple, right? What do I mean by that? That simply means have a plan. Just a plan of what you're going to talk about, your meal, your main idea, your evidence, add some value, and lead to something. Keep the pitch simple, right? Every day we get the opportunity to come before our scope audiences and we pitch. And we have something that we want to share. If it's nothing but our name, who we are, what we do, why we do what we do, and why us and not somebody else, right? So keep your pitch simple. Next, outline a financial and legal plan for your potential. What do I mean by that? You're asking for someone else's money. Even if you aren't not yet asking for someone else's money, it's not a bad idea to prepare to ask for someone else's money because then you are in a better position. Hey, Jason, thank you for inviting. So outline your financial and legal plan for potential, okay? That means know your numbers, have an idea of your products, have a trajectory in which you plan to go. Have a legal plan, disclosures, disclaimers, all of those great things, contracts, how to resolve, resolution, all of those great things are very, very important to have. Begin with the end in mind. The next one, decide your goals and how much money you will need. Decide your goals and how much money you will need. And the only way you can do that is write the vision and make it plain. Write your vision and make it plain. And that includes your budget. As small or large as it may be in your startup phase, it's important to write it down because how will you know how you're going to project your next steps if you have no plan written at all? Okay, so decide your goals and how much money you will need. The next one, demonstrate a thorough knowledge of your business concept. What do I mean by that? Demonstrate a thorough knowledge of your business concept. Hello, thank you for joining. I appreciate you all. Thank you. I'm so glad. I'm so sorry I missed you yesterday. I kept trying to get back on to tell you that I wasn't ignoring you, but I was in the moment. So how do you demonstrate a thorough knowledge of your business concept? Well, one way you do that, thank you. One way you do that first is understanding what is your business model. What is your business model, okay? For example, my business model is social enterprise. I am what you call a social entrepreneur, right? So my business is built around the greater benefit for the masses, right? So understanding my business model helps me to understand my business concept, why I do what I do, why the type of products that I have, what can my products offer the masses, right? So thank you for joining. I appreciate you. So demonstrate a thorough knowledge of your business concept. My concept is built to affirm human social value, period. And that's for all people, which means that the products that I make in my concept has to be flexible, has to be extremely flexible to address and affirm all of human social value. That means I have to think about the person who's disabled, the person who has is disenfranchised, the person who is middle class, the person who is a student wanting to get ahead. I have to think about all those populations, auditory learners, kinetic learners. I have to really affirm, in order to affirm their value, I have to offer the type of products that are going to help me to reach those markets. Does that make sense? Okay, so the next one is, hold on just a moment. I don't know what this thing's doing. Okay, so my next one is identify your step-by-step plan of something new and innovative. Meaning that you should always be in a position of startup. Never ever think that you should stop right there. You're never going to stop right where you are. You're always going to be wanting to create something new and innovative, and identify your step-by-step plan of that something new, because investors are going to want to know that. If you are eventually going before the investors to ask for their money, then you're going to have a step-by-step plan of what you're going to do new and innovative, because that's the only way they can have an idea of how you're going to how they're going to achieve a return on their investment. So it's very, very important that you identify that step-by-step plan. Hello, Lance. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you. Hey, Beauty Mixtures. Thank you for joining. Please swipe and invite your friends and followers. Okay, the next step is, how will you turn your great idea into a terrific service, right? I've had several great ideas over the last, I keep getting these amazing downloads, and but I target the wrong people for them. You know what I'm saying? So it's very, very important also that when you have a great idea and you turn it into a terrific service, that you target those people. Because when you don't, you are likely to not reach the capacity in which you want for that particular great idea. So you have to, how will you turn your great idea into a terrific service? So I had this great idea about this social enterprise, right? Because I have been watching people like myself who are service-led, and I wanted to be able to, turn it into a for-profit service, a business. I wanted it to be a joint venture between my other company, which is the nonprofit company, to sustain my nonprofit without having to go after funds. I can be paid for what I do right here in this space for profit while not having to worry about how I'm going to get paid from the foundation. So I have these dual purposes. Philanthropy over here. A percentage of my profits from this company goes to that company. Makes sense? So, but at the same time, I'm providing some really awesome services. I have 3 pillars to my business. I have coaching. I have investment readiness coaching, of course. And I have my e-learning products. My e-learning, which is for the entrepreneurs to increase profitability, but speak their language, a language in which they can understand. Because remember, in my market, I have to be flexible in helping others to understand what it is that I'm sharing with them. And 3, the project management boutique. That's for the people who want somebody else to do it for them. So I use my skills from 30 years in that area. So how do you create a idea? How do you take your idea and put it into a terrific service? That's how you do it. But you have to plan out how that's going to look. What's that going to look like to you? What's that going to look like to those people that you're trying to serve? Okay, so the next one is, you don't want to be wishy-washy in your language. You must always have confidence in what you're doing. When you go into the room, whether it's on this video camera, or whether it is hey, or whether it is in front of your investors, or in front of your loan officers, or in front of your angels, or on your stage to speak, you have to command it with authority. You know who you are and whose you are. Command it by not having wishy-washy language. Understand who you are and be confident about it, okay? The next one is, be sure to make sure that your investors hear you say, have positive affirmations about what you're going to offer them. Not that you shall do something, but that you will deliver. You will. We will deliver on the promise. We will says that we're going to do exactly what we says, that we mean what we say and we do what we say. And that's the bottom line. The bottom line is we plan and execute. Okay? So my next one is be prepared to compete and have the competitive edge. You will always have competition. You will always have competition. But you can have a competitive edge. Just figure what is it that your competitor isn't doing and do it different, but do it so that your market sees it as new and innovative, that they see it as, wow, that has swag, so I like that. That's your be prepared for the competition and have the competitive edge, whether it's in your marketing, whether it's in identifying who you are, why you and not someone else. All of these things are critical. So be sure to have that competitive edge. Your investors are going to want to see that. So then what deal are you offering? Like, everybody's offering something, but what's your deal, right? Everybody's offering something, but what's your deal? Well, my deal is I affirm all human social value. I affirm people, period. Oh, I work with flexible markets. That in itself is a deal, okay? 2, I offer my products so that I offer it in written. I offer it visual. I offer it auditory. I offer it tactile for a tactile learner. And I'm getting ready to offer it for services for the blind. So because I'm a human service person, that's my PhD is in human services. I understand that it's important that if I'm going to meet the needs of all people and be flexible, I can't meet the needs of all people, but I can prepare my product services to be ready for anyone who wants to learn. And that just means I have to take a few steps further in going to be sure that the person who can't hear can have the visuals. The person who can't read can have the auditory. Or the person who processes slower can have the auditory. Or the person who is ADHD, has a that ADD or ADHD and they have a need to learn by doing, right? Or that person who's blind and needs to hear. Or that person who wants to read and they're blind and wants some braille. So what is it that you're doing that's different than what somebody else is doing? And I understand the magnitude of that given my background and history in human services and dealing with all people from all walks of life. Okay, so then what your plan should inspire confidence in venture sustainability. Your plan should inspire confidence in venture sustainability. So that simply means that you are confident that what you're doing can sustain. And how are you going to do that? Well, you have to think about your team at that point, because we're not going to be here forever, right? Hello, good to see you, everyone. Thank you for joining, Jen. I saw you, Jen Guru, I think, come into the room. But can your team take your business forward? So important. And how do you determine that? You have to look at, I am going to leave up the replay for a short while. You can determine how you can determine by looking at your team and whether your team can take your business forward. Whether your team can take your business forward. Can your team, thank you so much, Jason, can your team take your business forward? And because we're not going to be around forever. So my business is a family business, right? So I'm learning, though, that I still need to be inclusive of other members on the outside because I'm dealing with a flexible team right now. I'm dealing with a flexible team of learners, right? And they're not always where I am in my thinking, right? But I believe we'll get them there if they really understand the importance, and we continue to nurture the gifts that they have and show them how their gifts will make room for them. And so when they begin to realize how their gifts can make room for them, then they too will begin to pay attention to the fine details and what that means for the future of their legacy. So very important that your team can take you to the next level or take you forward. Another thing is when the economy, this is so very important. When the economy sends people scrambling, and it will, offer something innovative. For example, our economy has been in a wreck for a while, but it's coming back around. But in your product line, in the things that you do, and the services that you offer, be prepared to address the needs of those individuals who want your services, but need you to do it a little differently so that they can be a part of your services. For example, if you're offering coaching, it's nothing wrong with you charging what you're worth. But at the same time, make it so that people are able to still act upon if they're not where you are. I certainly have to do that. I have to do that because I'm dealing with a flexible market. It's not that I'm not going to charge what I'm worth. I'm just more willing to go on a payment plan. I'm just more willing to go on a payment plan that they can afford. And if I go on a payment plan that they can afford, and I can offer it to the masses, which is what my business model is all about, then I'm going to reap the residuals of I'm going to get my value regardless. And it's not like I haven't taught these things before. If you've taught these things before, the likelihood is that you've already reaped the total value of your services, and now you're just on replay. You're just on replay. And I think that that's very, very important to think about. And then how can you best offer these services to the person that needs to up level? Perhaps you could offer them a chapter this week, or a chapter or one segment of your video, one segment of your DVD. I don't know, but a careful plan of that is very, very important. I know that's what I've done over at my services, is to, one, if they can't afford the book is $6.97. Now remember, the book's going to be cheaper. Ebook is going to be cheaper than a paperback. When the paperback comes out, it's probably going to be $3.50 more just to accommodate the money that I have to put into getting it printed, okay, and shipped. Then when you think about the audio is going to be higher because it's convenience. It's for convenience because I have to read that book. Then I now have to verbalize that book and become a voiceover for those people who are listening to receive it in audio format. So there will be different price points for all of these packages. And then if you want to offer it and somebody says, okay, well, I don't need to learn about reciprocity, I might need to learn about making myself an authority or social validation, then I just want that chapter. Offer it in chapters. There's so many ways that you can be innovative about how you provide your services to your community. And also another thing is, if you like this information, please share with your friends and followers so that they can get these concepts. They're very, very important for anyone who's starting in business. Let me reset. This is Dr. Eveangel Savage. I am your investment readiness coach and your social enterprise strategist. I teach individuals to identify, initiate, and implement strategies of distinction. I do that from the perspective of 20 years of nonprofit and for-profit services, and I also offer these in 3 pillars. I offer that through coaching, through group one-on-one coaching, through group coaching, through e-learning, and then I offer you my project management services for the person who just wants somebody else to do it. So that's a pitch, and a simple pitch. For those of you, that's how I began, and that's how you simply pitch. Okay. The next one is, and I'm almost done here. As a matter of fact, I think that was the last Yeah, that was the very last one, and that was when the economy sends people scrambling, offers something innovative. And now I'm going to open this up for some question and answers if you have any. I'm going to give you some time to ask questions if you have any. And your question, no question's a bad one. Somebody else might have the same question, so ask the question. I am enjoying. I came off my job a week ago, and I'm learning how to be full time as a full time entrepreneur, incorporating those things that are healthy and important. You know, beginning my day with prayer and supplication and understanding and direction. Also, learning how to read more. Hey, Jen, thank you. Reading and read more. Have a day that's a reading day. Yesterday, I don't work on Mondays. Thank you so much. I read on Mondays. So thank you so much, Jason. And then Fridays I don't work. That's my networking day in the field. And Saturday is on the road day for global education. So that's my Super Scope Saturdays. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm here and I'm doing work. You know, busying myself with the planning for the next quarter. So very excited about my new directions and looking forward to God to provide the overflow in my life, and certainly developing my platform, my speaking platform, because you know I really came outside of myself this week and really understanding more about the message that I need to give to my target market, which is all about how to overcome the adversities that we are sometimes faced with even at birth. You know, being born 2 pounds 6 ounces at 6 months gestation, 53 years ago, incubated for 6 months without the social bonds of my parents, and growing up in a large family, looking a lot different than my peers, and having, you know, developmental delays was not an easy thing. It was challenged. I was challenged every single day of my life. And getting past the hurdles of physical hurdles and the mental hurdles, having to learn how I process information was not easy. You know, thank God for phonics. You know, my problem was I focused more on words, focused more on the processing of words. I was a great speller, but when it came to comprehending, I had to read it 5 and 6 times because I was too busy processing the words. So that was a part of my delay. But today I'm a PhD, and I just want to be able to encourage other people. And I was just absolutely elated to discover that so many of the powerhouses and millionaires around the world suffer from the same type of delays. So it's something that just happens, and we learned how to address the adversity in our lives, and we learn how to move forward, you know, how to impact someone else's life. And so coming outside of that this week has allowed me to begin to truly develop my speaking platform in colleges and schools and parent organizations and associations, and you know, people that need to be encouraged and need to know that they too can do this. But there are some things we need to be looking at, some processes that we might have to do a little differently just to be able to make that happen. I had to do it 3 ways: visual, audio, and tactile. I had some traffic jams up here, and so I revealed, you know, some of that this week, and that was an exciting beginning to my keeping with the end in mind. It was an exciting revelation for me to begin to understand where I need to be and who my target market is, and how I want to impact the world. So our story is important. So begin to think about, go back and reevaluate. We should always be in plan, identify, initiate, implement, evaluate, plan. We should always be in the cycle of doing that, because that helps us to up level and help us to repurpose and understand the direction in which God would have us to go. And for me, I think I'm on the right track, because it not only is the truth of who I am, but it feels good to know that I conquered, that I was more than a conqueror, that no matter what life threw at me, I was able to overcome, and that by that, the very determination in my belly that allowed me to push forward through all the adversity that I had, challenges that I had at birth, the decisions that I made along the way, which will eventually be told, but do not have to be told here. There are things that we all do. There are decisions that we all make, and we have to, there are consequences as a result of those things. And then sometimes the very things that we are challenged with can resurface, and then we can sometimes allow those things to take us back to that bad place. I remember doing that in my first years of college. You know, that my issues and challenges resurface no matter what. I said, if I get into college, then if they will just let me into college, and they did, my grades would be better, because I couldn't get no more than a C. I was an average. I was what you call an ordinary person trying to doing extraordinary things, because I was doing extraordinary things for someone who was pretty much not supposed to live. So I was extraordinary in the very birthright that God saved me and allowed me to live. So as a result of that, you know, every now and then it would the issues would creep back up, and I managed to go to college and I made B's. You know, then my first 2 years of college, you know, I made the B's, right? I made the B's. And then I went off to junior. That was a junior college. I made it through with I think I want to say a 2.9 average. You know, I made it. And I remembered some things while I was in some of those classes. I remembered how Western civilization was one of the courses that I hated the most. Absolutely hated that class. And then I had to take it in order to get out of school, and I didn't really care for my professor either. But I was a young student too. I was doing some other stuff, you know, with my friends. And so, but what I found out was that when I became interested, when I stopped trying to write everything he was saying, and I would just listen to what he was saying, oh my God. Oh my God. See, I couldn't do two things at one time. I couldn't write and listen at the same time. Those two things that wasn't going to work for me, because writing required a skill, listening required another skill. So, did you have to go? Oh, my baby has to go somewhere, you guys. I was just really into this, but I'm going to have to come back and share that with you, because this is important. I couldn't do them two things at one time. So I had to listen, and when I really started listening, you guys, what I would do is go back to my study area, and I could remember everything that was said. And the thing about it was in my mind. I understood it, I could see it, I could verbalize it, and I could write it. So understanding who you are is very, very important. Understanding how you learn is very, very important. And just because you have had those challenges doesn't mean that you can't have big business. It doesn't mean that if you're on my scope and you're here for the very first time and you need some support in business and you haven't started yet and you might have a great idea, it's no cost to you to follow. It's no cost to you to come into the group and ask questions. It's no cost for you to do those things, to find a place where you can begin to share your ideas right here. Just go to the little Perry man down there. Follow me. Go to my website. Sign up for my newsletter. Send me an email. Let me know that you're interested in moving forward with something. Get yourself involved with somebody who can relate to who you are. I'm telling you, this is This is Dr. Eveangel Savage over at Audacity Group Social Enterprise, and I teach individuals to identify, initiate, and implement strategies of distinction. And at Audacity, we affirm human social value for all people. How and why can we do that? I have 20 years of experience in nonprofit and for-profit, and I am a service servant leader, and I do that with a background in criminal justice, a background in education, a background in substance abuse counseling, and a full PhD in human services. Thank you for joining my scope today. If you enjoyed it, please thank you replayers for sharing. Thank you so much. And also share with your followers, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook. Thank you so much. Share the information. Sharing is caring. And when we share love with someone else. We give ideas to other people. Thank you. Bye, everyone.